What's up, everybody? Get my thing set up here so I can watch your comments. What's up, guys? Aloha, aloha Monday, brand new week. I hope you guys having a great week so far. I think Charlie's working late. What's up, Ken? I think Charlie's working late tonight, so may have to go solo. Not sure. Not sure. Hold on here. I'm seeing captions on my screen. I don't know why. That's cool. What's up, Daniel? Welcome back, guy. Welcome back. How's everybody feeling? How's everybody feeling? How is everybody feeling? Aloha from the recovery hotel. Yes, Kiala, we will be talking about your situation. Hey, a lot of stuff going on, guys. A lot of stuff going on. Your numbers appearing to drop. Again, it's kind of hard. Wait, what in the world is going on? Hold on. Hold on. What is going on here? Can you guys hear that? Okay. My video. I'm going to be playing a video clip shortly, and it started all by itself. The boogeyman, the boogeyman. Anyway, guys, yeah, we got a lot to talk about tonight. I'm gonna run this thing solo. So, what's up, pops? I got the goods today in the mail. My father in Seattle, Thomas, he's there. He's in the comments. Sent me a box of candy. A box of candy. Unfortunately, in Hawaii, it's hot, 85 degrees, and it must have sat in the mail truck. We're probably the last leg of our mail carrier's route. So it was all melted, all melted. So it's in the freezer right now. We're going to salvage whatever we can. Completely melted. It was like liquid, except for where the nuts were. But it was kind of bizarre. Kind of bizarre. I don't know why. You guys seeing captions on your screen? I think you can turn it off if you want to. I think you can turn it off in the settings. But for some reason, mine here, turn off caption. There we go. If you need the captions, it's there for you. Go to your settings and you can actually. Uh, Sorry, Mel. That's the Miley Kao. Oh, okay. No captions. All right. Yeah, my phone is getting silly. Facebook is getting silly. Everybody's getting silly. COVID is making everybody silly, guys. It's. How many of you actually, honestly, have COVID fatigue? It's just it's it's not even getting old. It's old and it's tiring and I just want it to end. Everybody wants it to end, and we see the numbers starting to drop slightly. Again, today's numbers are from Saturday. We have seen a real significant drop in testing. So therefore, if you don't test, you don't get cases, and then they don't tell us the positivity rate. So that's really the number we got to look at is the positivity rate, right? Because if you're testing less, then you're going to get less numbers. But if the positivity rate is high, that's an indication that the virus is still running rampant in the community, and we know that's happening because it's every day you're hearing someone getting COVID. We know our hospitals are full. In fact, some of you may have seen the news, Hawaii News Now, talking about that brand new housing facility that was just completed on Oahu out in Eva Beach or Eva, and now they're turning it into a quarantine facility. And the way they said it was to um, alleviate the strain on the hospitals. I don't understand that because if you're in a hospital, you're there because you're sick. You're not going to go into a quarantine shelter. A quarantine shelter is for people that are positive but don't need a hospital. So, it's amazing how the government spins things to make it seem like it's actually a benefit. I mean, you're not going to put a sick person that requires hospitalization in a quarantine facility. You're not going to do that. So I'm not sure what they're trying to say. I'm not sure what they're trying to do. Yes, we need quarantine facilities. We need one here on Kauai. We're sending positive COVID patients back into homes, multi generational homes, back into the workplace. They simply don't have anywhere to go. So yeah, Gene, exactly. We all know because we all get friends and family that test positive and get sick. Yeah, it's mild. The symptoms are mild, but the disease is not mild. What's up, Sale Va'a Atisa Noi? Right on, my brother. Hey, we got to get you back on the show, my friend. We got some updates to do. Right on, boy. Awesome, awesome. Yeah, so it's people got to understand that this disease is not mild. It's far from a mild disease, and we're finding out now that the long-term effects are serious. It's severe and it's quite common. So no, it's not the flu. No, it's not the cold, and no, it's not mild. And the reason our hospitals are full is because the symptoms for those patients are not mild. They're serious enough to be put in a hospital. Now, our good friend, we all know the stories, right? We all know the stories about our friends that are getting surgeries delayed. Uh, Kiala Wolf, her husband is in a hotel because they're holding those beds for COVID patients, and he belongs in a hospital, not in a hotel. So yes, Kala Mitch Roth said it was mild. Yeah, they obviously they're selling the story. They all are. In fact, Oahu, I believe, bro, my back from Hawaii last December, I was in quarantine for 2 weeks and I had no symptoms, but it was a yeah, yeah, absolutely, Saleh, brother Saleh. Yeah, yeah, quarantine is no fun, and and it's a disease that can cause some very serious issues. So I really don't appreciate when our government continuously, Honolulu, by the way, is lifting the indoor capacity now. So wide open, guys, go get them. Some states or some counties are lifting all restrictions, mask mandates, um, everything. Just open them up, and I think that's a big mistake. I have watched. Hey, what's up, Dwayne from Howell, Michigan? Holy crap, must be freezing cold up there. See, get some massive snowstorms up on the East Coast and in the Midwest. Uh, so yeah, some states, some jurisdictions, they're gonna say, yeah, open up, open up, open up. And in fact, many states, many of the experts, in fact, on the news tonight, I watched a few of the newscasts all over, and all of the medical experts, the real medical experts. Yeah, Melissa's another one, waiting for surgery in the hand. It's not critical. Oh, there it went again. Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. What the heck? Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and play this clip so I can get rid of it because it keeps starting on by its own. So let me go ahead and play this right now, and I think it'll get my point across. Okay, so here we go.
That downward trend, though, is encouraging, but medical experts are warning us not to get too excited.
According to doctors, if we lower our guards, we could see another spike. Newswatch 16's Nikki Kreis explains why they are preaching caution.
After a month of increased COVID-19 cases, Pennsylvania appears to be seeing lower numbers. In fact, hospitalizations are down across the state, including Geisinger. Last week, Geisinger had 347 COVID patients in the hospital, and this week that number is 303.
Although we're seeing those decreasing counts in the community, it's because of all the protective measures that we've been putting in place. It's because we're seeing more people go out and get the vaccines. We're seeing more people implement masking.
Dr. Allison Brzezinski is an infectious disease specialist at Geisinger. She says even though the lower COVID numbers are encouraging, now is not the time to let our guard down.
Now's the time that we keep pushing through and doing the right thing. and we'll get through this.
Dr. Brzezinski says even though the lower numbers are good news, the pandemic is not over. In fact, Geisinger doctors anticipate reaching a spike in mid-February.
There's so many different elements that come into play when determining, are we going to head with our cases going up or down? And a lot of that comes back to human behavior.
Dr. Brzezinski says it's important to stay vigilant.
Thinking about, where am I going? Am I going to be in close contact with individuals that I perhaps don't know? I don't know their vaccination status. I don't know, in terms of personal responsibility.
Doctors say keep social distancing, wearing a mask, and staying home when you're sick. Nikki Kreis, Newswatch 16.
Yeah, infectious disease specialists. Her story is no different than the stories we hear from the experts we have on our show. It's constant. It's consistent with all the experts. And I really don't care what state you're at. I think all of the true medical experts, not the politicians. Don't politicians have absolutely no idea what the hell is going on. But if you listen to the medical experts, and not just doctors, but I'm talking about infectious disease specialists, epidemiologists, virologists, the people that actually know what they're talking about, they're all saying the same thing. You see, we here in Hawaii, more so in Honolulu, on Oahu, as soon as there's an indication that the cases might be dropping, they think we're endemic. We have a lieutenant governor and a mayor that has openly said it's an endemic status now. It's no longer a pandemic, and that's simply not true. Simply not true. This doctor here from Geisinger is saying they expect the spike to happen in mid-February. I had heard from other sources that it was closer to the end of March, but not in Hawaii. Not in Hawaii. We remember now. Mondays and Tuesdays are numbers from Saturdays and Sundays. Now we already, even throughout the week, we have decreased numbers of tests. On weekends, it's the lab capacity is lower, so we typically get lower numbers on Mondays and Tuesdays because Hawaii's numbers are 2 days late, 2 days delayed. So if you look at Kauai's numbers, it's consistent because we do it every day. So you don't have this dip and rise and dip and rise. It's pretty steady because it's real time every single day. On Oahu and the state, their numbers are 2 days late. So obviously on Mondays and Tuesdays, when we're counting the tests from Saturday and Sunday, it's not an accurate number to use when you're making policy decisions. But our politicians, their motives are different than the healthcare experts, the infectious disease specialists. These people have one thing in mind, and it is to save life, save people from getting sick, and to protect people. But politicians not necessarily on that same track, right? They have to look at the economy. They have to look at jobs. So in their mind, they're doing the right thing, and yet, if you think about it, right, if we stay on this trend and we react to surges and react to dips, then we are going to be on this roller coaster. We're going to open up, close down, restrictions, no restrictions, restrictions, no restrictions, because we're relying on data that's faulty, and we're not writing this thing out. This thing is not over yet. It's far from over. But they want us to believe that we're heading out the danger zone. And it's simply not true. So how do we get that point across? I don't know. I think, especially here in the village, we all are on the same page because we all listen to the same people. But even if you were to take a break from this show for a week and you focused on listening to experts from around the world, the message would be the same. It would be the same. Now, if you stop listening to medical experts and you listen to politicians from around the country, then you would see the similar responses, because the politicians and the doctors have two different tracks. So yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know what to do. I don't know what more we can do. Um, I think Hawaii, passed out 15,000 tests. That's 15,000 tests that people aren't going to be going to the lines. I just had a friend of mine who had returned back from the mainland, and he went to the convention hall, and there was absolutely no wait. Uh, he went in the morning expecting to get a ticket for a time that he would have to come back, and there was no line. I take that back. There was about five people in line, so he had expected to get a ticket with another time to come back, and they said no, we're wide open right now. A week ago, 2 weeks ago, no, man, they had a limit of 500 tests per day. Many people were turned away. Many people were turned away from the liquid pharmacy. You could, based on appointments. So waiting 2 hours, 3 hours, sometimes 4 hours to get a test. So the bottom line is the test numbers are dropping. Therefore, your case numbers are dropping, and then they withhold the positivity rate, because the positivity rate would tell us um, exactly where we're at. And if you was to look now, okay, explain this to me, right? If it's getting done, if we're heading down out of this pandemic, answer me the question: why are our hospitals catching cracks right now? Every single one of them. Why are they catching cracks? Because it's not over. Because there's a lot of people that are getting COVID that's not reflected in our numbers that are being reported. Right? They take a home test, not recorded. They go to the doctor, they test positive, or they're sick and they get admitted into the hospital. You have a lot of people that are getting sick without COVID, non-COVID illness, non-COVID diseases that require hospitalization. So I really don't care what the politicians say, what they try to sell us, because the proof is in the pudding, right? We all know people that are in a hospital or have passed away or are sick at home, trying to kick this thing. And I honestly, I know a few people that have had COVID that said it was very, very mild. But the majority of people that actually had COVID told me it's horrific. My coworker she said it was the worst thing she's experienced in all her life. And she's vaccinated and boosted. And so it doesn't matter what the politicians say, because we are intelligent enough because of personal experience, personal knowledge, because we have friends and family that are experiencing it or have experienced it, that we know that they're full of it. But it doesn't stop them. You cannot tell me that our elected officials don't know people that have gotten really ill or passed away. You cannot tell me that they don't know this. And I understand there's a balance between the economy and COVID, but business is going to suffer more if we don't have this predictability. If we keep restrictions and non-restrictions and playing around with that process, it hurts the businesses more than if we took some swift, strict action to drop the numbers to a manageable point where they could open up freely. But no, these guys are so reactive that it's actually costing people's lives, in my opinion. But damn, who am I? We've only been following this for over 2 years, going on 3 years now, and there's nothing that shows or tells me that what they're saying is true. And we're not the only place now. It's not just Hawaii. It's many other jurisdictions that have to deal with explaining to the people, their supporters, the lobbyists. Hang on here. Here's something stupid. Ann Arbor Township orders shutdown of Ypsilanti area COVID testing sites, citing zoning violations. There we go. There we go. So that's okay. This is, in football, because I love to relate things back to football. What a great playoff weekend, by the way. They have what is called decoy or camouflage defensive scheme. So when you go up there, it appears to be something that it's not. Offense reacts to the fake appearance, and they get smashed. It's the same thing, right? They all get together and they say, how can we ease the tension of our people? How can we convince the people that we need to open up, we need to lift restrictions? How can we prove them? Okay, number one, very simple. Cut down the testing. Cut down the testing. And keep spewing the message that we're endemic. Keep spewing the message that we're in a good place. Keep spewing all of that messages until people start to believe it. So we reduce the testing and then we withhold information, right? We withhold information. And we tell them that we're overwhelmed, so we cannot get you the information. So we won't give you the positivity rating. Come on, really? Positivity rating is simply test given positive, you do the math, and you get the result. You cannot tell me that cannot be done with one keystroke. It can. They don't want to do it because they don't want us to know what the positivity rate really is. It's simple. So we cut down the testing, we limit testing, and we either hold back some numbers and tell you later it was a backlog. So we know Mondays and Tuesdays the numbers are traditionally low, so they boost it up in there. They make those numbers a little higher, and they say, sorry, we had a backlog, we had a system malfunction. And but again, it keeps the people, most people, like, wow, okay, that's cool. um so I but that's their plan. It has to be, because there's no other reason for them to do this. I cannot believe that in today's day and age, that we cannot make those very simple mathematical calculations to provide that positivity rate to the people. But they know, right? If people understand positivity rates, then they're going to know that their theory that we're heading out of this pandemic is false. If we know exactly what is going on, then we can also know, we would also know that they're not telling us the whole truth. Again, this is just my philosophy, my theory, because I have looked at this from all angles. I've spoken to so many people. I just cannot figure out the practicality of why they're doing it. Marie, exactly. They think we're stupid, and maybe that's not true. Maybe maybe their intentions are good. Maybe they don't want people to be afraid. Maybe they want people to feel good. Maybe they want people to feel safe going out, and we can go out safely. We can go out and be safe if, in fact, I believe, if we knew the true danger of this virus, that we would be more safe. People would be more safe. They wouldn't let their guard down. By them minimizing this virus, which they have done, especially our lieutenant governor, which he has done for over a year, um, because of that minimization, people feel safe, and that leads them to drop the guard and go to that party or go to that concert. I mean, and do you blame them if your only line of communication is KHON TV2 news and you watch it in the morning? Your day is like, hey, we're done, it's safe, it's all good. uh, and that is what we hope this show does, so you all can go educate your loved ones about what's really happening out there. So I just wish they would be true and factual, and just let the chips fall where they fall. um, or to go to people's homes and have dinners. Yeah, I mean, Super Bowl weekend, can you imagine what that's going to be? Can you imagine what that's going to be like? One of the things that the news does not cover, is because everybody says, look at all that football games in Michigan, Oklahoma, Texas, look at the NFL games, nobody getting sick. Where do you get that information from? Nobody getting sick. Because you didn't hear it on the news. It's quite the opposite. There's a lot of clusters that come out of those games. There are. but it's not reported, right? Because the national media is again trying not to fear. Imagine if you it's all about the money, I guess is what I'm trying to say, right? It's all about the money. So they go out and yeah, super spreader boy. I mean, how can it not, right? How can it not spread when people are yelling and screaming and most of them not wearing a mask? So, but people will say, nah, man, those games, why Hawaii cannot open up? Because those guys, they're not dying. How do you know that? Check the hospitalizations in all of those towns and those cities. It is dangerous. It's very dangerous. But because they don't hear it on the news, healthy fear is the beginning of wisdom. Thank you, sir, Mr. Tavares. That's a YouTube comment that you folks won't be able to see. Yeah, so that was I had written down a few things that I wanted to cover tonight. That was the first one, the numbers. Wanted you guys to see that clip. That now is not the time to ease up on the restrictions. And Oahu they're doing it. Kauai, we haven't really changed any restrictions. The indoor restrictions, outdoor restrictions are still there. So it's just Oahu that's really opening up, which is kind of dangerous because that's the hub, right? All the people fly into Honolulu and they get on a plane and fly to Kauai, Maui, the Big Island. It's crazy. Which leads me to my second point. And my second point is airlines. And well, let's start off with that knucklehead on Hawaiian Airlines that they had to turn the plane around on the taxiway to come back and get his okole off because he refused to wear a mask. And then there's this other couple of clowns on Oahu. I believe it's Oahu, maybe Maui, I can't remember, but they're going around and not purposely not wearing masks, going into stores and videotaping it, putting them on TikTok or wherever the hell, trying to get views. And I watch that, I get so upset because they know the rule. Yeah, every business establishment has a sign on there. You must wear a mask, and they go in purposely intending to not wear a mask and create a scene so they can get it on their little video, so they can put it on their social media and feel like they've accomplished everything. And they're nothing but dickheads, right? And if I had any say in this, I would prosecute them. You have their video, you have their IP address, you have their identification, you have the video for evidence, you have the witnesses at the stores and the airplane. They need to be prosecuted. Yeah, the two guys went into Ross's. I just saw that one. I saw one went into a Walmart. I saw it's now becoming popular, right? It's like a TikTok challenge. Go in there, go piss everybody off, not wear a mask, catch it on video, and share it with the world to show how tough you are. I tell you, I really wish somebody would just punch him in their throat. Punch him in their throat. Because that's what they deserve. Why would you do that? You put these people at risk, number one. You put every single person in that place at risk. And number two, you're putting these employees in a very tough situation. And they're saying, please, sir, you gotta wear a mask. Oh, really? No, I don't need to wear a mask. No, I'm good. No, hey, I'm good. Thank you. I'm good. No, why you do this? If I ever found out my kids was doing that, I would lick them. I would lick them. And if it was my son, I'm not gonna lick him, so I gotta take one bat and pound him. I would, my grandma passed away last week, 102 years old, and that night we were at my uncle's house, and we were reminiscing about my grandma, tough old Portuguese lady, and we were talking about how she handled discipline. And one of the things my grandparents, my parents, my dad, he's on here right now. My mom, bless her soul. One of the things they taught us from a very young age was respect, right? That you respect not just your elders, of course your elders, but everybody. And my dad, who's again, he's actually watching this right now. That man would give you the shirt off his back, even if it was freezing cold. That's how we were raised. And then I see these little punks going around doing this silly. Yeah, then you got the lady at the 7-Eleven clerk, right? That lady, she became famous tonight on the news, right? Because you got her face big and big on the screen. She went in and assaulted a 7-Eleven employee who had to be taken to the hospital because she refused to wear, because the clerk asked her, or the cashier asked her to wear a mask, which is the law. And she ends up in the hospital. See, those people should be punished to the full extent. I mean prison. I'm dead serious. They should go to jail for the maximum amount of time, because you see, what they're doing incites others to do the same, right? You make it seem so attractive, and you get a lot of views, and then you get all these clowns saying, "Hey, way to go! Yeah, that masks don't work." Really? What the hell book are you reading? Masks don't work. Is it 100%? No, nothing's 100%. My God. But these people go out and they put this on social media, and everybody jumps on the wagon, and then they're going to do one because they want to do one too, right? Because it looks like fun. And that is why those people need to go to prison. And they need to be put on the front page of the paper, front slide of the TV. Um, it's incredible. So, airlines. A year ago, it was a whole different scene, right? Because you you quarantined. I don't know about the other islands, but on Kauai, we had the National Guard here in force, and they were enforcing all of the quarantine laws. So everyone that was on quarantine was getting visited by the cops and the National Guard every day, every single day. And I saw it with my own eyes because my neighbor had just come back and he's a prosecutor, he's a deputy prosecuting attorney, and they were coming almost every day to make sure that they were home in quarantine. Remember, Kauai had zero cases and very little numbers. Uh, and it was because we had that in place. Yeah, we didn't have these characters running around spreading the virus. Now, so the way it works now, not the way it works now, you go to the airport, you don't have a vaccine card, you don't have a test, you just tell the airlines, I'm going to quarantine on the other end. I wish Charlie was on to deals with this regularly. And they let them on the plane. Let them on the plane. And then they get here and they don't quarantine. And there's absolutely no enforcement. There is no enforcement. And now, don't you think that people already know? You don't think that through social media and friends tell friends, and they know that no one enforces it. So guys are flying here positive with COVID, just telling the airlines that they're on quarantine. Now, it used to be where you had to put where you were staying. And if you came to Kauai and you didn't have any accommodations and you were on quarantine, you got arrested. You got arrested and you got taken to cell block. And it never made the news a lot, but I work at the prosecutor's office, so I saw all the arrest logs every day, and they were arresting a lot of people here on Kauai right off the plane. They were homeless. They came in and they lied. They said, "Oh, I'm staying at the Kauai Beach Resort." They checked one phone call. You have this certain person? No, arrested. Or if they did go to the hotel, hotels were giving them a single entry key. If they left the property, they called the police. They were arrested. See, that's how you deal with a pandemic. That's how you deal with a pandemic. This honor system crap is killing people. Literally. Literally. So I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I mean, this is where I thought the legislature would have stepped up, and if the governor wasn't going to do it, if the lieutenant governor wasn't going to do it, if the mayors weren't going to do it, then the legislature should create the legislation, pass the law that required it. That's what they could and should have done, and they haven't done it, and they won't do it. So we are going to see. We're it's we are getting cases that we should not be getting. People are getting sick that should not get sick, and people are dying that should not have died. And that is horrible. I don't know how these people live with themselves knowing that they had a part in that, because they chose to allow this to happen. And it isn't stopping. And people think that the virus is going away, that we're heading to endemic status. They're terribly mistaken. Either that or all the experts around the country are lying. I doubt that. I don't think they are lying. I think they're relying on data and trends and statistics and facts, and that's where they're coming to those conclusions. Sorry, I gotta drink my coffee. Delicious. I know. You guys gonna say no drink coffee at night. I'm addicted. It's a good addiction, better than something else that I could have been addicted to. Yeah, so I don't know how they sleep at night. And again, no there is no signs that it's going to change. Uh, Actually, I have a friend. Hold on. I have a friend here who owns a vacation condo. Had 7 guests arrive. 4 of the 7 had negative results. 3 didn't get the results. By the time they landed, bam, they had to stay in a hotel for 5 days. They did get the results before they left the airport, but they still had to quarantine. Absolutely. The way the unsafe travel program works is that you have to have your results before you leave. If not, you quarantine. Marlene, toast. That's the Portuguese, I know that. We drink coffee all day, all night. Yeah, Green still brags what a success. Safe travels is not safe. That is proven. He lives in his world. He can believe what he wants. It is what it is. I still believe the Steelers are the best team in the NFL. And even though they got booted and they're not in the Super Bowl, I still believe they're the best team in the league, right? That's kind of similar. Right? He can believe whatever he wants to believe. This is the problem, though, because of his level, his status, because he's a supposed doctor and because he's a lieutenant governor, he has validity, right? The people believe him. And he's not giving them the right information. And that's what's scary. And I think the governor is no different. And I think that's what triggered Kai Kahele to create that 10-step plan, which they probably tossed in the rubbish. Now there's all this talk about Kai Kahele running for governor, scaring the crap out of all of those guys. And yes, Michael, hell yeah, Steelers rules. Yeah, I know. So can you imagine? All of those candidates for governor and I don't know what Kai is going to do. I really don't know. He may run, he may not run. I don't know what he's going to do. But regardless of what he's going to do, he's he's got a lot of people shaking in their boots, and that's what I like to see. So I noticed the lieutenant governor now. He blocked a whole bunch of you guys off of his Facebook page, and I know some of y'all made some complaints and filed formal complaints, and now he's unblocking all of you, and he's saying really nice things to you folks. So I think it's the fear that Kai may run. Kai got some negative hits on that 10-step plan because some people believe the government should not have that kind of overbearing authority. I think generally speaking, I would agree. But during a pandemic, no, I think they absolutely have the obligation and the duty to provide the safety oversight for the people. I absolutely believe that, and we'll see. Michael says he got donation emails from the lieutenant governor. Well, he has not even officially announced yet. And the reason he hasn't announced is the FCC regulations, Federal Communications Commission, as it relates to politics. If you are a declared candidate, then if the news station gives you or the radio station gives you time on the air, they have to give everyone else equal time. So that is why he's not formally announcing, because once he does that, then he won't be able to go. The news not going to let him come on, because then they're going to have to let every other candidate the same amount of time. even if he's the sitting lieutenant governor. So he's playing it smart for him. He's squeezing as much publicity as he can out of KHON2. So it's a strategy, and it's the people when the election time comes around, the people are going to have to think really, really hard about who they want to lead the state for the next 4 years, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So yeah, just the airlines. I wish the airlines would be required to close that loop before they let them on the plane. Um, I really wish there was a process in place that if you had to come in and you had to have all your stuff inputted into your app, and all of that would have to be validated by Hawaii, by the state. And yes, it would take a little extra effort. Yes, but we would be sure that people would be coming in and it would be as safe as possible, that they would come in and quarantine. Even the 5-day quarantine is not enough, but it's better than nothing. And we watched the restrictions just dwindle away. And right now, there's really no restrictions in Hawaii. I mean, there really isn't. If you think about it, what is it? What is it? There is none, and there's no enforcement. So we'll see. Um, I saw. I'm going to switch gears a little bit because I really want to hear your feedback about the stadium on Oahu. I'm a football fan, and what are you guys' thoughts on that? I guess they've narrowed down the selection of the developers to 2 groups, and you look at the names in the groups; those are high-powered people. I know a few of them; they're good people, but it's interesting how this state can move so fast on things that are not needs; they're not necessities. Look at how quick they hired Timmy Chang as the coach, with a really screwed up process. Really, really screwed up process. But I agree, we got to get behind Timmy, and we got to support him in his new journey. But the way they did it, I mean, like that, a process that would normally take a few months was done in days. And was that really a necessity? Well, some may argue it is because of the recruiting and all of that. But this whole stadium complex with shopping and businesses and housing, and we have heard some of the legislators stand up and say, hey, we need housing, we don't need a stadium. $350 million, and that's not going to be enough. You know that's not going to be enough. So I just wanted to get your thoughts, you all on Oahu especially. I mean, at some point, the whole state will end up paying, like rail. We all now get tagged to help pay for rail. I will never use rail. I will never use that train, but we're paying for it. A lot of battles when I was in the council here. A lot of battles with the legislature about that whole TAT and GET, and I don't know how you all feel. I was just really curious. We haven't even finished the rail, but what is affordable housing? Is it going to be affordable housing? I cannot imagine that any developer is going to put affordable housing in the middle of a business complex that has a stadium. It's not going to happen, people. I really don't care what they tell you all. I don't know if you guys saw the spotlight the other day with what's that, Peter? What's that guy running? He said he's not running for governor, but he's the developer. Peter, help me. He was on Spotlights, the Star Advertiser Spotlight last week. Savio Realty, and he talked about affordable housing. He talked about why we will never accomplish the goal because we have not committed. Yeah, thanks, Alina. We have not committed to affordable housing. Yeah, affordable housing in the eyes of our government is $600,000-$700,000 for a home, a very small home on a very small piece of property. And Savio said to make that commitment means a commitment telling developers that you're going to build low income or affordable housing that's tied to the wages, not tied to this ridiculous number that if you're a brand new family or if you're a single person, you'll never be able to afford a house here in Hawaii. And he's right. He's right. And I was kind of hoping he would run. I was thinking this is the kind of thinking we need, that everything that we do as it relates to housing is to put money in the hands of the developer and not into the people. He had some amazing ideas that I thought was really, really, I thought would work. And I really want to get him on our show because I want him to have an hour to explain some of his thoughts. But he made it clear that he's not running. But so it's low interest loans to the local people, or rent to own programs where these, the money stays in with the owner, with the local. See, he calls it an international market. An international market. That's what we have here in Hawaii, right? It's our properties. Our properties are being sold off to mainland or international buyers. It's not a local market. It's not. And until we change that from an international market, which is pretty much a destination location, right? Everybody comes here, all the rich, that our kids will never be able to survive. Ag land for small farm, that's another thing, right? Who has more land for farming, right? Hawaii, we got land all over the place, and everyone says we got to support ag, except or until it comes a point where you got to put money in it, right? If the state's got to put money in it, then they cannot, because no more money. So they just want to go around and talk about, supporting ag. Go buy at the local sunshine market. That's not going to create a sustainable economy. If you're buying a couple of tomatoes and an eggplant and some cucumber, all this land that we should be putting money into, so our farmers can afford and turn a profit and make a living. That's how you create sustainable ag, not just talking about it. So yeah, it's incredible. But he also said the first thing you could do to fix, he says we can get out of this housing crisis in 10 years. I like that. He's honest. He's not bullshitting, in 3 years. Yeah, I know you can't do it in 3. I mean, trust me, I do. I know it's going to take a long time, but it's also going to change. It's going to require a change of thinking, right? But he said if provide 60,000 Hawaiian homelands, right? The land's already there, but do not keep the lease as it is, where you only get the lease. You only can finance. You cannot finance anything with the value of the land, right? Because it's, you pay $1 a year or whatever it is, so you cannot use that. So you go out and try to get a $300,000, $400,000 house. You need 40 grand, 60 grand, 80 grand down payment. You don't qualify. So he's saying the state needs to subsidize that and needs to get these 60,000 homes built so we can get our native local Hawaiian people in those homes, which will free up the market for everyone else. Can you imagine if 60,000 families were to move in Hawaiian homes? And let's just say it's over the next 5 to 10 years. And that would free up probably 40,000, because we have multiple families living in homes. So it's not 60 for 60, but imagine how many houses would open up for the local families. Yeah. So he was intriguing. He was very intriguing. I had never, I always thought we need to get Hawaiian homes moving. And it's not just tossing money at them without changing the structure. You got to change the structure. You got to commit to housing and make it happen rather than just yap. So yeah, it's those two things, housing and boosting the farming, I think is one way that these are kind of things that as we head down towards the election, you got to find these people, and those that are saying what we got to do. Look at the track record and see how, did they even go down that road when it's not an election year, or is it just something they want to do to secure your vote? Voters got to get smarter, and hopefully this year will because of COVID, I'm thinking a lot of people will be informed, and I think we'll see a different outcome as it relates to the election. So anyway, um, getting back to COVID, I just saw Scotty Shapiro pop on, and I know Scotty's a strong advocate for therapeutics. Sorry for bouncing back, but I just saw Scotty pop on, so I wanted to make sure we cover the therapeutics because what Scotty says is true. I mean, he beats that drum constantly. He doesn't stop. That's all he talks about. But he raises a valid point that we should be focusing on treating these people so they don't die. And you can vaccinate all you want, but if you don't have a treatment for those breakthrough cases, then we're still going to lose people, right? And I don't know what's in store. I know we got a pill. I know we got all these things that they're talking about, and we haven't seen it yet. But I still believe prevention is better. I think, but we failed at the prevention, right? Our state failed at the prevention when we started to open up our borders, when we started to lift restrictions, when we started to allow all these dangerous activities to go on. We allowed this virus to get a foothold in our state. And now we're dealing with reacting to the damage that virus has caused, right? Simply people getting sick and people dying. And so I think it's equally important is the treatment so we can get these people fixed up and so they don't have to be in a hospital or they don't have to be in a hospital as long so we can release the tension or the stresses on our hospitals and our hospital workers. So I don't know what you guys think, guys. This is a tour. I'm trying to read up on your coverages. I mean, your comments. But so that's something we will pay attention on, and we're trying to. I actually sent out a bunch of invites for tonight's show, but understanding that a lot of the doctors that we have on as guests get very busy, and it's really hard to lock down them. Dr. Jerome Kim was traveling, but he will be on. I think I'm hoping next week he will be on. And trying to get Dr. DeRoff. I'm not sure if you remember, he was on our show a long time ago. Also want to, Dr. Altenberg and Dr. Tim Brown to give us. Those guys are really good because they keep track of the trends around the world, and it's really good to see their perspective. And we try to get them on. Again, it's difficult because Scotty's in Tahoe. Is it cold, Scotty, in Tahoe? It must be cold, man. My daughter is on her way back from Dubai. She went to Dubai for a week with her boyfriend, and very strict COVID protocols. And did it deter her from traveling to Dubai? Absolutely not. The fact that they had to take a test as soon as they got off the plane at the airport, and the fact that they had to go straight to their hotel, no detours. They had to stay at the hotel until they got the result, and then of course the normal protocols in Dubai, which is why that Dubai is a relatively safe place to be. My point is, as the lieutenant governor keeps saying that it's going to affect tourism if we add restrictions to our travelers, our visitors, that it's going to affect tourism. It's not going to affect tourism if they know what is going to happen, if they know that they're going to a place that's safe, if they know, can you imagine if you told the visitors that Hawaii had a 43 or 48% positivity rate of COVID? I wouldn't go to a place if it had a 48% COVID positivity rate. I would not go. Hell no. Right? So you just don't tell them, and then they come. And then they come. Because they don't know, right? And they come and they bring and they spread or they catch it and they spread it, and it's just a vicious cycle. So my point was, if you implemented a test at the airport and a post-arrival test and a short quarantine, you would not affect the tourist industry that much. And you still see hotel workers on Oahu picketing because they have not called back all the workers, even though they're at 90%, 95%, which is so disingenuous, I think, because, they cried, right? when there was the argument about should we open, should we lift restrictions on unsafe travels, the hotel industry came up and said, we need that. Our tourist industry is dying. We need to get our people back to work. And and what? Lo and behold, right? They opened it up, tourism came back, and they didn't bring everybody back to work. I think that's disingenuous. I think that's wrong. So for me, the impact, if we added that post-arrival test, would not be significant. Not be significant, you know. And but they don't care. They don't care. It won't. You know, the HTA comes out and says we want this new type of. It was. I don't know if you saw the Civil Beat video. If you guys haven't seen it, go check it out on YouTube. It's a Civil Beat video, and they started off with the commercial that HTA spent millions of dollars to promote across the country. It was about Malama, Kuliana, and they went down to the beach and they interviewed all these visitors, and they asked them, "Have you ever heard of the word Malama?" Nope. You know what it means? Nope. And they asked a ton of them, and none of them knew what Malama was or Kuliana was, which obviously, I mean, you think that commercial that they were playing in I don't know what markets are going to be seen. You think if you saw that video and you live in Tennessee or wherever, that you're going to remember what Malama is. You're going to even remember what Kuliana is. No, no, no. You come in here to relax and enjoy and have fun. The last thing you want to hear about is some Hawaiian cultural term that that says I got to go Malama to Aina. I got to go clean the land. No, man. Come on, guys. Let's be real. You know, I think that's HTA and you know, they're getting another 60 million. Oh my gosh. Yeah, go check out that video, guys. It's hilarious. It's really, really hilarious. And bottom line is this, guys. We are not out of the woods yet. We are not out of the woods yet. We are not endemic. We are not endemic. Experts are, you know, seeing the surge to continue through February, possibly through March. We're not, you know, and when we let our guards down, when they start lifting restrictions, when they start lifting restrictions and cases start spiking again, and then, you know, it's like, it's once you give something, it's hard to pull back. And then the mentality of our leaders is, let's just live with it. You know, it's not going to be forever. Let's just live with it, and we'll deal with the consequence, whether it's more illness or, you know, some people will die, unfortunately. Of course, they in their heads think, or they blame the people, right? Because it was something they did wrong that got them sick, right? Maybe they didn't get a vaccine or they didn't get a booster, so it's their fault. No, it's not their fault. You know, some people cannot get a vaccine. Some people had a bad reaction. Whatever reason, we gotta make sure our place is safe. And if we cannot do it, I know somebody, one of my good friends actually, and I don't think he comes on live, but I'm sure he watches it afterwards. He says we need to lift all restrictions and self-police. Well, like I said, I love this brother a lot, and I respect him a lot, but I respectfully disagree. You know, self-policing is when you go on a diet. Self-policing is when you go camping and you self-police, make sure you clean up the place. But when you're dealing with a pandemic where your actions can cause injury or death to someone else, then we cannot self-police. If you follow that theory of self-policing, then we wouldn't need speed limits. We wouldn't need the law for seatbelt. We wouldn't need the DUI law, right? If we self-policed. And some may say, Mel, you're stretching it, man. This is not like drunk driving. No, well, it is like drunk driving. You know, because you may be carrying this virus and not even know it. On a DUI, you're making a conscious decision, or sometimes unconscious, but you're making a decision to drive when you're impaired. But in this case, you don't know if you're positive, you don't know if you're infectious, and you're going places and spreading the virus, and you're putting other people at risk. That's why we cannot self-police. That's why we have to have laws in place, right? We have to have laws in place to prevent you, or at least limit you from spreading the virus. Whether it's a mask requirement, whether it's a social distancing requirement, whether it's an indoor capacity requirement. Can you imagine on Oahu right now? You guys are going to have events with more than 1,000 people that can be all shoulder to shoulder spreading the virus. You don't think that's going to have an impact on our positivity rate and our case counts? I mean, seriously. So I'm not sure what your who. I mean, I think I know your mayor probably listens to Josh Green, and that's why they come up with similar explanations. So we shall see. I don't like restrictions, guys. I hate restrictions. I hate restrictions. But I also don't want to get COVID. Or I definitely don't want to pass it on to somebody who gets sick and dies. So I welcome the restrictions. I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit to keep others safe. I am. I am. I am willing to do that for as long as it takes. See, but the longer we play around with this thing, the longer it's going to take. So anyway, guys, it's almost 8 o'clock. Appreciate you guys paying attention. I don't know if I can do an hour show by myself, but appreciate you guys' comments and concerns and statements. I love it. I miss so many of them, especially when I'm alone, because I don't have the time to scroll back. When usually when Charlie talks, I can go check out the comments, and when I talk, he can check out the comments. But tonight, going solo, it's hard, so I apologize if I missed anybody's questions or comments. We will be back on Wednesday night. I promise you. I don't know who our guest will be. It will be someone, and we'll talk story again. But again, guys, the bottom line is this: stay safe, personal responsibility. I agree with the mayor on that. We have to be personally responsible, but that's not the only thing. I think government has a responsibility as well, and they have shirked that responsibility, that duty and obligations. Tyson wants a sports talk. 1 hour not going to be enough. Hey, I tell you what, Tyson, let's go do a sports talk on Tuesdays or Thursdays. I'm game. Lots to talk about, but we could probably talk a while about sports. But anyway, guys, you guys stay safe. Take care. God bless. We love you all. And we'll see you guys on Wednesday.